And he's a ghost. Welcome to Terraria. Terraria is a great game that has stood the test of time, proving again and again that it's one of the best video games out there. It's so good that I made an entire YouTube channel so I'd have an excuse to play it more. But is Terraria actually a good game? The Terraria community has always been a bit weird, with Terraria being one of the biggest games in existence, and yet the community is this small niche of people who exist in the shadows of culture and kind of just do our own thing. It's one of the best gaming communities in my opinion, but the point is that Terraria, despite its size, still has the feel of a little old indie game. This tight-knit community of hardcore fans have enjoyed Terraria for many years, and so I can't help but wonder why it never broke into the mainstream. This is where my noob friends come into play. Get him, Sketchy Joe.
It's Sketchy Joel this time?
Oh, Joel. Oh, my bad. He is here to answer a very important question. Is Terraria actually fun for somebody who knows nothing about the game?
Okay, I sincerely do not know how to play this game.
I know. Just how noob-friendly is Terraria? Has its complexity resulted in a die-hard fan base that never gives up but also never grows? Well, that's what I aim to find out by introducing my friend to Terraria for the first time.
I'm gonna die to these slimes before I even figure out how to play the game.
Probably. Now, this won't be like a lot of noob runs I've seen before, where the pro player plays alongside their noob friend and teaches them the ropes. I want to see if you can figure it out. Instead, I intend on taking a fully hands-off approach, only gathering the necessary materials to remain on tier and helping when absolutely necessary. Otherwise, I intend on purely observing my friend's actions to see how he engages with the game. Oh, there he goes. First death achieved. So far, he has basically just killed slimes in every passive mob he comes across, and now he's just digging a hole for some reason. It was kind of funny though, as he refused to mine straight down. He does have a bit of experience in Minecraft, not a lot, but he had it in his head he should never mine straight down, as that's stereotypically a bad thing to do in Minecraft. Considering how just about every Terraria player mines a elevator, this is kind of funny to see how scared he was of making a tunnel like that. I was genuinely curious if he'd figure out trees. It should be simple, but who knows? But wait, he left the stump. Why did he leave the stump? I actually commented on him having left it there, and afterwards I realized he would have absolutely left that stump there and left stumps behind for every tree he chopped down if I hadn't pointed out the fact that he left the stump. From what I gather, he didn't remove the stump initially, thinking that leaving it there would allow the tree to grow back. Trees will not grow back when you leave a stump. Like they're stuck at that height.
Oh, okay.
Night is clearly upon us, and that'll be interesting to see, but it's funny how quickly he figured out jumping to get materials first. Hey. He's already figured out jumping to get the materials first. Despite saying it's a good idea to build a house, he didn't actually do it, and night was already upon us.
I suppose it's a good idea to build a house or something, right?
Mm-hmm. He has survived for a little while, which is already impressive. I fully expected him to be dead already, but he's run into a bit of a problem. Nice. And bonk.
Oh, hello.
And so the inevitable death cycle commenced, but this happened in part because he was focused on the wrong things. Where are you going?
Getting my money back.
Oh, don't worry about money at this point of regret. No, do not worry about it. Obviously, he should have built a structure, but money was his primary concern for some reason. I guess that makes sense from a general gaming standpoint. You usually want to get your money back after dying. Maybe I'm just so used to not treating money that seriously in Terraria, but that didn't even occur to me that my friend would go out of his way to recollect the lost funds. No, Joel. Why do you continue seeking out the money? The other voice, well, it's the voice of another friend who suddenly popped in. He's also totally new to Terraria, so he'll be joining for now and just kind of here and there. We were mostly focused on Joel here, so I'm not sure if he'll continue through the whole series or if he'll just appear and disappear. But hey, we got two noobs and we can watch their different styles and approaches. Also, I did grab a bunch of wormhole and recall potions for my own sake, but that's just so I can properly observe these new players. It sure didn't take long for this ectomist to form, and the new noob scythe has an interesting comparison.
This is just like playing Final Fantasy.
Is it?
Pretty much, yeah. It's just as painful.
My friend Joel forced me to play Dark Souls for the first time, and he told me to get good all the time, so I'm fully within my right to shout it back at him, alright?
Oh, you can. You just gotta get good, boy.
But we are stuck in a rather bad situation. There are simply too many enemies to deal with for anybody in our point of progression to properly survive, at least not without a simple structure.
Just make a structure, and you'll be fine.
And that there lies the issue. My friend hadn't thought to chop down all the trees that spawn, and so they are all in the way of building. Plus, he is so focused on trying to kill the enemies that he hasn't even considered trying to place blocks in the midst of this. You could simply dig a little hole and set up a few blocks to be safe, but this tactic simply did not occur to my friend, resulting in this awful death cycle that wasn't helped at all by the ectomist increasing spawn rates. Thankfully, when the day came, Joel was able to make his way to a nearby cave.
I would like to put a door on this cave. I don't know how to make that happen.
So in order to make a door, you need a crafting station of some sort.
While he figures out doors, I watch Scythe get his starting supplies, and to my surprise, he didn't chop the stump either. Dang, I totally forgot that someone might think to leave stumps behind under the assumption they'd grow back. It wasn't just the first friend, but both, so I guess this isn't a weird anomaly. Eventually, the two began to call the cave their new home.
What are you doing?
I'm trying to go up.
You had this much to go up?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know how to place it. I've only built a crafting bench before.
Okay, so short-term memory loss is partially to blame here, but I guess this is where Minecraft experience could be affecting how he engages with the game. He's probably trying to click on the workbench to craft with it, and his focus on doing that has blinded him to the fact that simply being near the workbench is all he needs to do.
How are you trying to use it?
I don't know.
How did you make it?
I don't know.
What? You don't know. Just manifested out of the ether.
Now, you might have noticed there's a treasure chest here. I haven't mentioned it because neither of these noobs have even realized it's here.
Still haven't. I can't believe.
So that requires a little prompting. Well, maybe a lot of prompting just for him to loot the chest. I genuinely have no idea how to read this. It looks like a treasure chest. Anyone who plays games know about treasure chests, right? And like right clicking, it's a thing. I have no idea why it didn't occur to him to try and loot this thing. I have no clue. That might not have made sense, but this next thing did make a whole lot more sense. They still couldn't figure out how to place a door.
Why can't I place the door?
Scythe put down some walls thinking that would be needed for placing a door, which is an interesting idea.
If you are thinking, Minecraft, you're thinking of it wrong.
I guess Joel is starting to figure out crafting, so that's good, but the difference between blocks and walls are still a problem.
Replacing a door, I'll give you a hint, and that would be you need to place some more blocks.
So I gave them some examples for what would be considered a block.
Is that a block?
I mean, it is a square shape, so I consider it a block.
What is the name of it?
Wooden wall.
I remember how a short while ago I said Joel was figuring out crafting.
Got all the crafting stations, that's a really good start.
But how do I use it?
You already figured out how to use them a second ago!
It's not intuitive.
At this point, Scythe went down the cave and Joel wanted to know how to set spawn point. This brings up another good point. Setting a new spawn point is not very easy, at least not for a new player. You need at least 2 special working stations, assuming you don't find the loom in a treasure room, and you also need cobwebs. How then is a new player to figure out that one workstation is needed to craft the one they are after, and even then, how are they to know a loom is necessary to make a bed to set spawn point? It does seem like a more complicated process than it really needs to be. In Minecraft, a bed can be created pretty quickly or else found really easily, and although being able to set a spawn point is arguably much more important in Minecraft than Terraria, considering how the Ectomist is at natural spawn right now, and so returning there as a death trap, having a way to set spawn sooner would have been very helpful for these two. This is also when it occurs to me that there is another major issue. The guide is dead. So their primary method for even learning of different recipes and getting some hints is gone. And how could they possibly learn how to make suitable housing to help the guide spawn back in? The only method I can think of is pressing the home button above your armor, but if we can be honest here, how many new players are going to think to press that button? At one point, Joel did find it and press it for one reason or another, but he didn't interact with the question mark at all, so he doesn't actually know what it does or why it even exists. At the moment, however, he just seems fixated on mining. Scythe, in the meantime, has returned and was waiting for a zombie to break down a door. He was ready to fight, and despite me reassuring him that the zombie won't break open the door, he was not convinced and kept stabbing the door. I took a moment to follow Scythe back down the cave rather than hang around Joel, the miner, and discovered that the cave is pretty pitiful. I was really hoping they'd get a nice cave, but you never know what you'll get when generating worlds, so they get what they get, and they can't be upset. This is all about their first experience, and, well, you can't control things like this. Back to the base, Joel decides he's going to mine a tunnel over to natural spawn so they have a safe route to the base. Scythe, meanwhile, is playing with the vultures.
Ah!
That is not how vultures are supposed to act. They're scavengers. They're not predators.
You just look a lot like a dead body, what can I say?
The vulture kills him, so I help Joel with mining the tunnel, and Scythe ends up joining the party.
I will say, there is a way to stop the zombies from spawning here, and a way to change the... Oh, wait a minute, what? Oh. Hey, Scythe, what do you think of that little friendo?
We're right about at spawn when I spot an Abigail's flower, and because I'm terrible at not being excited over silly little things, I couldn't help but make a remark about there being a quote, useful item around. There's no way that Scythe would have ever thought to mine Abigail's flower on the surface without my prompting, so I guess that's not quite a regular experience, but I do occasionally have to encourage them or give them a bone here or there before they get frustrated, but I keep it to a minimum. I must say though, Scythe used a rather unorthodox method for finding the flower.
You got it!
It took a couple of minutes of him dying and him mining around in random locations since he's still not sure what the actual thing looks like.
I'm gonna die. Because I don't know how to go down.
I guess you will... Oh, hit down.
Back to Joel, and he's still mining, but underground this time, and Scythe is confused by the water.
This water has been flowing for minutes and it hasn't drained.
He explains to me how he assumes water works, and it's all basically wrong because he's using Minecraft for reference and trying to use Minecraft logic to explain Terraria water, which obviously isn't how it works. Water being down here also allows jellyfish to spawn, and the best treat of introducing these two to the game is knowing they are about to die and doing nothing but watch. Joel's mining actually resulted in a good find, a minecart track. However, for whatever reason, he avoided the minecart, blocked over it, and continued mining randomly. I have no explanation for this. Scythe, on the other hand, was much more adventurous and jumped down to the minecart track. He figured out how to mount the cart, but was having issues getting off of it. Telling them the shortcuts is something I'm just going to do. No need to hide the control scheme from them. They can just look that up in the menu. But I do at least expect them to remember things.
How do I get out of the minecart?
Same button that you used to get on.
I don't know how I got on.
Figure it out.
Joel had returned to the base, and I'm excited for him, wondering if he's gotten enough ore to craft anything at all. I'm not sure he'll figure out the need to make bars first, but considering how you smelt ingots in Minecraft, and he's been thinking Minecraft for some of these things, I have a little fear he'll struggle to figure out that part.
I can make a toilet? What on earth does that do in this game?
Not much. You can get poop blocks.
He ended up making an iron broadsword, and that was just about it. So I guess he hasn't found much ore at all. But he did finally start exploring the surface. I've been waiting for this day. He breathes the fresh air and is no longer stuck in the mines. Unlike Scythe, he crosses the desert and finds another cave where he yet again passes right by a treasure chest without looting it. I basically told him to loot the treasure because my brain was exploding in confusion of how any gamer would not loot a chest right in front of him.
There you go.
I was curious what might be near us, and I am really hopeful Joel keeps walking to the right. He didn't, but did actually head down into the cave rather than spend a solid hour mining the dirt on the surface.
I found a wand of sparking.
Oh, you found a living tree? Wait, or maybe it's just a regular wooden chest? Where did you find that? Where did you...
Noah forgot it in the chest up here.
Oh. Why did you...
I I cannot comprehend why Joel didn't loot the chest at all, especially since he was just saying I'd steal his loot. Maybe he doesn't think the stuff is useful? Maybe he doesn't understand how to loot? I genuinely have no idea. And he wouldn't stop confusing me because after I was so hopeful he'd explore the open cave, he instead started mining again.
Where are you going?
Maybe he's looking for ore and thinks they're near the surface. I don't know. This boy is avoiding the cave layer of this world like the plague. Scythe, meanwhile, is doing what I would expect a normal person would do. A little bit later, Joel joins us, and just in time for this first worm encounter, but Abigail made it a minor issue.
Thank you, Abigail.
Whoopee cushion on the first one!
What was it? What?
He got a rare drop on the first one we killed.
Well, Noah has it because he picked it up.
Nice.
What does it even do?
Not really anything.
Oh.
It won't be helpful to you.
Yes, I know it can be helpful, but I'm not explaining the fart in a bottle right now. They don't even know what the cloud in a bottle is, so I ain't spoiling that. Traps are another thing I don't really want to spoil, and I spot a pressure plate just to the right of the two noobs.
Oh.
Why did I fall for it?
What was that?
Nothing.
That was, a little bit of an oopsie. But it's not long before Joel encounters another pressure plate, with this one activating a dart trap.
What you looking at?
What was that?
And will he survive the point? No, he's not going to survive.
Joel immediately returned and fell for the exact same trap. It is possible he doesn't even recognize that there is a pressure plate there, let alone an activation method. For all I know, he thinks an enemy or random projectile is killing him. Well, that brings us to the end of our first session, and as we were unwinding, I realized a bit too late that I need to not craft things they haven't seen or used before.
What was that?
What?
What?
Oh, this?
Yeah.
Don't worry
That
about it.
cactus weapon? That's a cactus weapon. There's a reason why there's no more cacti around, isn't there?
What? No.
But that was their very first experience. If you'd like to see more of their escapades, be sure to subscribe, like, and comment on the video. I intend on bringing Joel, at the very least, all the way up to the Wall of Fresh before we take a break. I agreed to play Dark Souls 2 if he got that far, so I'll have to spend some time doing that, and that experience will be streamed on my second channel, Thorben Gaming, when we start, if that interests you. So far, I don't think either of these noobs are really enjoying their experience, and through their eyes, I started to see some of the flaws and pitfalls of the game. This is something I genuinely understood, that Terraria is incredibly hard to play without a wiki or somebody helping you. This whole experiment is meant to be along those lines, but I can function as a lifeline when necessary. Terraria just isn't all that noob friendly when it comes to easing them into the experience. These two were murdered en masse the very first night, and they were not savvy enough to make a rudimentary shelter to prevent their deaths. It might seem obvious to do such a thing to those who have played Terraria for a long time, but at the time, they didn't hardly understand what blocks even were. Plus, the trees they didn't chop down at spawn were a problem. I think Joel may be a little unique in his choice to mine absolutely everywhere except for the places that would actually be helpful, and I can't explain why he always did that. He also hasn't played hardly any sandbox games, so he doesn't really have a lot of context for just understanding that part of the game. So why he kept on mining, I guess I just have to assume he was hoping that he would find ores. A time or two I would ask him what he was trying to accomplish by mining, but he didn't really have an answer. He was just doing it with little rhyme or reason. Then there's housing. How are either of them ever going to learn how to make a suitable house? I'm sure that the only way any person would accomplish such a thing is on accident, but I'm genuinely curious what they will do next, and I'm hopeful that despite these rough beginnings, they'll start to understand and enjoy my favorite game in the whole wide world.